Hi, this is Kim with www.embody-light.com. And I'll leave my website linked in the description. I do hypnotherapy, psychic readings, Akashic Records work, past life regression, hypnotherapy, sound healing, Reiki. I can train you in Reiki. And the work that I do with Akashic Records is not really reading the Akashic Records. It's working on the things in this lifetime that are a part of your Akashic Records, because whatever you're experiencing now is a cumulative effect of the things you wanted to wrap up in this lifetime. So, anyways, I haven't had much time to make videos lately. I've just been busy getting ready for the holidays, and happy holidays, everyone. I'm working and just doing what life. So, the subject of this video is telepathy. And I asked my guides, Yeshua and Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, are children born telepathic? Because that is the language of spirit when we're on the other side. You hear about the stories when people have near-death experiences and come back to tell us about it. They always say they were communicating with me, but their mouths weren't moving. And so it's like a mind-to-mind transfer of information. And one of the things that I would think people would ask is, okay, so we're different languages on this planet. That doesn't matter. This is a universal language that everybody understands, from what I understand. So anyways, telepathy is something that children are born with. And because of my unusual experience, I actually remember quite a bit of this. I knew things that, well, I don't have memories of every day before 12 months, but beyond 12 months, I pretty much do. I would be able to tell things about people, what they were thinking, and if they were a nice person or not. And this is just natural. Most people, from what I'm told, this happens to them as well, but they just forget. Birth is sleeping and forgetting. We come in, we're born, we're able to communicate telepathically, and although we might not have the human life experiences, I guess you would call them, to be able to make sense of what they're discerning, but they are able to discern it. The other thing is, they say infants can't see real well, just like shapes and that kind of thing. And, it's like till they're between 7 to 12 months till their visual perception is exactly what we think it should be. And at that point, they can judge distance. Well, they see soft shapes, that kind of thing. Well, the reason is, the guides told me, is because when we, as adults, are doing psychic work or intuitive work and we're having visions or seeing auras and stuff, I've seen them around trees and people, we don't see them when we're looking at them straight on, focusing on them. We see it when we relax our focus. Well, the infant's focus is so relaxed that they are seeing auras, guides, and angels and that kind of thing. So they are seeing people's auras, and basically they know how to read them, is what my guides say, from the perspective of what an infant understands. So part of the reason is it's very dark in the womb as they're developing, and it takes them some time to come out into the daylight, and for those processes in their eyes and their eye muscles to start to develop. But these children come from spirit, and then over time, part of it's because of the society that we live in, they gradually forget. And so the purpose of making this is because we're coming into a time where people are going to be born knowing who they were in past lives. They're not going to be forgetting. And so I just thought it was kind of an interesting thing. They have to kind of integrate into physicality, is what they told me. So they come from I have notes, that's what I'm looking at. They come from oneness consciousness. That is why they don't notice the difference between items till maybe 5 or 6 years old, 5 or 6 months old, excuse me. And if, like, you see a child reach for another child's toy or object, that child loses it. Well, because the child doesn't yet understand that that object or toy they're holding on to is not a part of them yet. Also, the same thing with their mothers. They do not recognize their mothers as being separate from them. Um, so they just don't have the life experience yet to properly discern what they're seeing yet, but they are seeing things and they are receiving information telepathically. So, that being said, I wanted to ask my guides. So, we all have the capacity to communicate telepathically, but that's something like any skill, if you don't lose it, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so, because that's not a normal part of our society, the babies eventually lose it over time and don't remember. So, but as I said, I had a very unusual experience, so I remembered more than some did. So it's going to be coming in the future a more integral part of our communication. And so I asked the guides, is this something that we should be trying to improve on? And they said it's going to happen naturally, but yes, if you had a way of doing this, that you would be more able to assist the others. So some of the ways it's already done, we all know. But what they said was to take those circumstances where it's already happening and enhance it. So one of the things that people on their spiritual journey will start to have is more intuition, and that comes from the gut. That's a feeling. To translate something into telepathy, mind-to-mind communication, and that's how I communicate with my guides. I allow them to come into my field and assist me, but I don't step out like some people do, trance channelers, and just allow them to take over. I'm very protective of my consciousness because of my history. I do allow them, however, when I'm doing healings, they come right through me. That's a completely different thing. That is a utilization of my body and my body's energy, but not my mind. So some of the ways we are already doing it, when we are getting insight and information from our guide, source, Yeshua, whoever we're getting information from, that's actually a telepathic communication once you are practiced at it. Husband and wives, partners, romantic partners, whatever you want to call them, do it all the time. And I notice, like in my life with my husband, we've always done this all the time, but it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger lately. Because of the changes on the planet is one thing, but the other reason is because he's retired now. I'm semi-retired. I only maybe work every other weekend or something like that. Not very often at an outside job. I still do this. And so, as we're spending more and more time together, it's not just that. It's also the fact that we don't have all of the outside distractions and busyness, like a stressful job, children still at home, that kind of thing. And so it's gotten stronger and stronger. The other way we're doing is children, especially mothers. You know, mothers always say they have eyes in the back of their head. Well, the mothers are, because the mothers love their children and so their hearts are open, this communication is very easily to decipher from their children, to communicate telepathically, to know what they're doing, to know what they're thinking. So there's another thing. Um, the other thing is when, like when you're out in the world, this is a very important point, and you're dealing with coworkers, customers, whatever, a lot of different people. A lot of us, when we come home from our jobs or whatever we're doing, we are still carrying the energy of the other people in our energy field. And that can make us not clear because um, it's like your own filter. We all know what that is, but you're carrying a little bit of other people's filters. So it's very important to disconnect from the people you're interacting with so that you can go into your own space. And I asked Jeshua, what percentage of people or the population is currently able to completely disconnect and not carry the energy of others? I was actually expecting around 70%. The answer I was given was 0% right now. He said no one really, and then I was given the image of some Buddhist monks chanting in constant prayers in a monastery. Someone like that can. They've been able to quiet their mind enough so that they're listening to that telepathy that comes from spirit, and they may or may not recognize it, that they do it with each other. So even though he said 0, it's a very, very small fraction. It would be like somebody, and this will change over time, it's somebody who is constantly in prayer. Otherwise, the rest of us, we just really don't know how to disconnect other people's energy from us. We can pray. We can, a sea salt bath always helps if you've had an especially bad time with other people. Even a shower, the water breaks the connection. And prayer and intention. The other thing you can do is imagine that your fingers are scissors, and you just go and you just cut off any energetic cords. So back to like what I was saying about the Buddhist monks, they have a specific contract to stay in this constant prayer and song. What it does is it provides like an anchor to hold the light onto the planet. We were all created as a burst of light, and each of us has our own frequency, as it is with the angels. They each resonate their own unique note, and all combined creates the most beautiful melody. So we do have a circle of angels that constantly surrounds the earth in a constant prayer, meditation, song. And you can align your energies with those circle of angels every day. That helps you to hold your energy and your strength. And there's other people on the planet that, they join things like prayer groups and stuff like that, and they're in constant prayer and communication with Source. Those people are always also very good at telepathy. Okay, so that being said, what else do I have to cover here? Now, as far as telepathy goes, people who can do this and they can also, and you don't even have to be versed at telepathy to do this, but you can also read into the mass consciousness and determine what's going on the planet and what people need. I'm just going to give you a little example of this. One of the churches we used to go to years ago was a Unity church, and they are very spiritual churches, and You'll have some ministers there that are just fantastic. That one of them I stopped to talk to on the way out, and I had to ask him. I said, because this is much earlier, my understanding, how do you do this? Every time I come here, you give me some answer I needed or a question I was looking for. It's like you're looking in my windows or reading my mind. And what he told me was, well, when you meditate with intention, you can go into the mass consciousness and know what is needed. So when we expand out to include others in love and feeling, we can expand into the mass consciousness and read that. Now, that is not the same as telepathy. When we communicate with higher dimensional beings, we expand vertically by opening and allowing their energy to come in. Basically, you reach up and they reach down. Now, that's your angels and guides, but when you connect with others, you expand outwards. That's how you read into the mass consciousness, and it's more in feelings and intuitions that you interpret than it is direct telepathy. So let's see, what else do I have to say here? So when I channel or talk to my guides, I should say, it's a telepathic communication. I a lot of times will verify what I'm understanding with my pendulum, because it can be sometimes easy to misunderstand what the actual message was. So, like I said, some people will let people speak through their voice. I personally don't. I allow them to come into their field and talk to me while I'm communicating, but I don't allow them to step in and communicate with me and step out. But I don't step out when I'm doing healings. They come in through my back and my shoulders and my arms. And when I'm doing healings, especially if I have someone in person, the people will pick up. They'll say it's like another person stepped into you. So the ways we can increase our abilities to communicate telepathically is by meditating. How many times has the phone rang? Everybody's had this happen, and you know who it is. Well, that's kind of more intuitive. But if you take it a step, it's kind of like they're saying, like refining the intuition to a finer point where you can discern what it is. So you take this information in, and if it's just a feeling, a basic feeling, that's intuition. But when you meditate, get quiet, and you start getting information, that's telepathy. I had a situation with, it was actually a family member, and it was a very, very painful situation to deal with. And I couldn't understand where this family member's projection was coming from, because it just wasn't making any sense. And honestly, I was quite offended by the way the person was acting, and just ready to be done until they could get their act together and start acting like a nice human. And so I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, because this is someone I love dearly, and I didn't really want to be estranged from this family member, but I also wasn't willing to put up with any abuse. Well, once I was quiet enough and calm enough to hear the information, I got a whole series of information that explained why and what the projection was and how the person didn't understand. I could then look at and it was a female, look at her more compassionately with the understanding. And I was praying all along, but I just kept praying for her. Well, once I finally had that understanding and was able to remove the, I guess you would say, the mad that was in me about the way they were acting, all this information came through. Very, very detailed information, but you got to get quiet enough. You got to pray, you don't get this information just because you want to snoop or know about somebody else ever. The reason I got this information was because it was something I needed to heal and to help this other individual to heal, although this was never spoken of. I mean, yes, it was spoken of the things in the world that were going on, but not the underlying things. It wasn't until I understood her perspective and her misunderstandings and where she was coming from that I could finally quit taking it so personally and remove myself from that situation until she was ready and she was better, which she did once I understood this. At, because what it was putting a resistance in my field because I was just constantly being hit with this person's projection and misunderstanding. That I was just kind of putting up a boundary with my energy. You do want to have good boundaries and good borders, but you don't want to block it so that you can't completely block the energy of other people and allow the energy of source to come in that. You have to be able to figure out a way to heal whatever. If you're having an issue with somebody, you have to figure out a way to heal this issue and make peace with it so that, because if your heart's not open, if you're angry or if you're hurt or offended or grieving or whatever, your heart will close somewhat to protect you. You have to do the healing work to get the heart to open, because if your heart's not open, you are not going to get accurate information, if any information. So, moral of the story, telepathy is going to be our new way of communicating. Start practicing on it where you're already doing it. You know, when that phone rings and you know who it is and you answer it. You know, most of us, it says on our cell phones now, but before you see it, you answer it. But take it a step further. Do you know what they want? Start practicing with that. I mean, obviously, if the person told you they were going to call you before they came over and picked you up for lunch or whatever, you know what they want. But when it's something that you're not aware of because it wasn't pre-planned, just start practicing on that and see how it feels when you're right. See how it feels when you're wrong. I don't mean how you feel, I mean your energy, how it feels. Because when I'm deciphering a truth, my energy pulsates. If something is not true, I get stagnation. I get no energy movement at all. And each person will be able to discern their own truth. It's just a matter of practicing. So I will be back to make more videos. I've got a couple subjects that I'm going to cover. I just honestly, I'm busy with other things and I'm running out of subjects. So if there are things that you would like me to cover, questions you would like me to answer, you can contact me through my website. Just send an email. I'll leave it linked below. And I do have some other exciting things coming up. I'll just tell you about it. I've recorded a really good past life regression that I'll be making a video about that, but I'm going to be putting it on my website. And it's something that people can just purchase and do as many times as they want, because we've had many past lives. And when you work with a hypnotherapist, sometimes you're not getting accurate information if they haven't protected you and grounded you. You could be getting entity involvement. And so I'll talk about this more in the upcoming video, but I use the singing bowls with a very high frequency, so that's not even possible that can happen. And I'll go into more details at my next one. But so anyways, I'm working on some things to put on my site that you can record, download to your computer, and do or practice as many times as you want. And I have sessions available. If you would like one, visit www.embodied-light.com, and I will leave it linked in the description box below. Thank you.